My own friend convinced my husband that I cheated on him, and he kicked me out of our house. Now she's finally admitted she lied. I, 25F, don't even know where to start because I'm devastated. She, 25F, was my best friend for over 10 years, like a sister to me. I trusted her with everything, but clearly I meant nothing to her. She stabbed me in the back because I married the man she wanted, and that's important to note because that's why she did all this. 8 years ago, we met my husband, 29M, at college. We were in our first year, and he was the assistant to one of our professors. The three of us became very close until he and I started dating. At that point, she never told me she had feelings for him, so I never questioned my relationship with him. Over the years, I trusted her with very important things about my husband and myself. The last thing I confided in her was that I was pregnant. I even told her before I told my husband because I took the pregnancy test while I was with her. I trusted her with my whole life. When the test came back positive, we both cried because it was a planned baby. Now, knowing that all that seemed so genuine was fake just hurts my chest. 6 months have passed since that day, and my husband started acting weird. He was always mad at me for no reason. Finally, I confronted him. He told me he was mad because he knew the truth. I asked him what he was talking about, and he showed me all the evidence of my supposed infidelity. They were chats from a dating app between a man and me. I put me in quotes because I never created that account. Someone else did and used my photos that I never posted anywhere, so it's impossible that anyone could have stolen them from my social media. In those chats, I supposedly told this man that I was pregnant and didn't know if it was his or my husband's. I even talked to that man about recent sexual encounters while I was pregnant, things no husband or wife wants to read about their partner. I told my husband that everything was fake and asked where he got those screenshots. He told me they were from my old phone, a phone I supposedly used to talk to other men. He said my best friend told him everything because she couldn't look him in the eye knowing the truth. Apparently, she knew about my infidelities and told him to look for evidence on my old phone, and he did. That's why he'd been acting weird for the last few weeks. Of course, I told him my friend was lying and that she probably used my phone without me knowing. I assured him I never created any account and that I've only ever slept with him. We had a fight and called her to confront her, but she just said she was sorry and didn't want to keep lying to one friend to save the other's ass. She insisted that I was a cheater. I couldn't convince my husband that I was innocent because the evidence made me look guilty. He was furious and told me to pack my stuff and get out, saying he wanted a divorce and a paternity test. I went to my mother's house and we did the paternity test, which, of course, confirmed that the baby is his. But he still didn't believe I hadn't cheated. We had more fights after the paternity test, and I ended up in the hospital because of the stress. Apparently, that made my so-called friend see reason because she told my husband everything he saw was fake and that she made both accounts, mine and the man's. She said she did it out of jealousy because I was pregnant and he wasn't paying attention to her anymore. She claimed she lost her mind and acted in the worst way possible, and now she was really sorry. She thought he would get mad for a few days and then forgive me because she knew he loved me too much to forgive me anything. Since her confession, my husband has apologized 1,000 times. We've talked a lot about what happened, and we've decided to give ourselves some space and start going to therapy. But I'm not sure if that will be enough. Our relationship is in tatters, and I'm afraid we can't work this out. How could we? We said and did horrible things during fights. At one point, he told me to pack my stuff. When I refused, he took me by the arm to do it. I pushed him, and he hit a piece of furniture. He took me by the arms again, but this time he shook me. He's much stronger than I am, being skinny compared to him and tall. When he did that, it really hurt me. I don't know if we can be who we were in the past again. We used to fight rarely, and when we did, there was never any violence. How can we fix this, other than therapy? Update. Thank you for all the messages and comments on my first post. I really appreciated it. Things have gotten a lot better since then. We talked to my now ex-friend, and she admitted to using my old phone to create that fake profile and also to message the other man. I put the other man in quotes because that man never existed. it was her. She used that phone whenever she came to my house because we had a business together. She knew where the phone was and that no one ever used it, so she had everything perfectly planned out. It's scary because she clearly needs help. With all this, it's evident that she is a psychopath. She confessed to everything she did, even telling my husband that she drove me to meet that man multiple times. She claimed I made her pay with her card for the hotel where I supposedly met him, but I was never in any of those hotels. All her fabrications sounded real, and the messages looked very convincing. I understand why my husband believed her. If the roles had been reversed, maybe I would have believed it too. On the other hand, my husband and I are still trying to cope with everything. After that violent episode, things became really hard between us. It's not easy to save a marriage once violence is involved, but we're trying. I came back home, and for now, things are fine. However, sometimes it's really warm here, and I wear t-shirts. He doesn't even want to look at me because I still have bruises from his hands on my arms. They don't look too bad now, but they're still there after almost 2 months, and I guess they'll take a while to go away since I have very pale and sensitive skin. My arms don't hurt anymore, so I don't mind the bruises. He has apologized for what he did, and I forgave him because it affected us both. I understand that we both got violent, and we're both guilty for screwing up our relationship. Like I said, we're still trying to get over it, and I guess it will take some time. It won't be easy, but we are committed to working hard so that everything improves before our baby arrives in a few weeks. That's why we started individual and couples therapy. We hope everything gets better. Right now, we're focused on preparing the baby's room and buying things for her. That's helping us, and our relationship is slowly getting back to how it was before. I'm really happy about that because we've loved each other for 8 years. The last thing I wanted was to throw away our relationship after all that time. I know how good it was before, and this was the first time we both reacted like this. We promised each other it will never happen again, and we will do everything possible to ensure it doesn't. So that's all for now. Now on to the next story, story 2. My husband died, and now I have to pretend he was a great man who loved me. I'm Lisa, 36F, and my husband, Ryan, 43M, passed away 3 months ago. Honestly, I was relieved when it happened. Ryan abused me financially, mentally, and even physically. When I got pregnant, he convinced me to quit my job, promising he'd take care of me. That promise turned into control. I couldn't buy anything, not even a basic cream, without his permission. Everything that was mine became his, and anything that was his stayed his. I stayed with him because I loved him at first and didn't have anywhere else to go. My self-esteem was too low to believe I could leave. By the time I stopped loving him, he'd already had his first affair. He made me believe it was my fault. After giving birth, I wasn't ready for sex, and I had stitches from the delivery. But Ryan didn't care about that. He only cared about blaming me. I was slowly planning my escape, saving whatever little money I could from working at home, selling things in secret. Ryan wouldn't let me work outside. He was too jealous for that. I wanted to save up for a lawyer. At that point, he was having another affair, this time with a close male friend of his. The affair kept him busy, and honestly, I didn't care anymore. I just wanted him as far away as possible. I could have made a scene since I knew both him and the person he was cheating with, but I stayed quiet and focused on planning my escape. Then, unexpectedly, Ryan died. And now he's being remembered as some kind of martyr. Why is it that when someone dies, all their sins are suddenly forgiven? Even my own family, who knew about his affair and how he manipulated me, are saying we shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Everyone talks about how beautiful our relationship was. His family praises him, saying he gave me and our child everything. His affair partner even hugged me at the funeral, telling me how much Ryan loved me. His friends kept saying what a great guy he was. But me? I had to stand there pretending to be sad. The day Ryan died, I cried a lot, but it wasn't out of grief. It was because I felt free. It would have taken me years to save enough to escape him. He made it clear that if I ever left, he'd take everything from me and make my life hell. He told me so every time I stood up for myself. But now I have the house. I have everything. I'm receiving widow's benefits, and I have full custody of our child. I've started seeing a psychologist, and everyone thinks it's to cope with my grief. But it's really to heal from the abuse I suffered. Pretending to be sad at the funeral was hard, but I did it for my child. I did it because finally it's over. I'm free. If I'd made a fuss while Ryan was alive, he and his family would have made sure I ended up with nothing. They're just like him. Now, in their eyes, I'm just the poor widow who had no idea what was going on. And I'm okay with that because it's helping me keep what I deserve. It's been several weeks since my last post, and I didn't expect it to end up elsewhere. Honestly, I had forgotten all about it until a few days ago when Ryan's lover and friend, let's call him Seth, showed up at my house, saying he'd found my post. I was shocked. I didn't expect him to find it, and it scared me a little. But at this point, if someone shared it without my consent, there's not much I can do about it. One of my sons let him in. I hadn't heard the doorbell. I didn't want to make a scene in front of my kids, so I allowed him to come in. I was curious about what he'd say. When we were alone, Seth told me that he knew I was aware of his affair with Ryan because of the post, which he claimed to have seen on TikTok. I never posted it there, so I assume someone else must have uploaded it. He tried to defend Ryan. He said Ryan wasn't the best husband, but he was a great friend and a hardworking man. Seth told me Ryan's family misses him and that, despite his mistakes, I should let the past go. He insisted that we'd all be better off if I stopped digging into it. Seth kept pushing, and it felt intimidating. His attitude reminded me of Ryan, controlling, telling me how to behave. For the first time since Ryan's death, I felt on the verge of a panic attack in the presence of another man. It was like I was facing my husband again. I know Seth is scared that I'll tell people the truth about their affair. He's gay, and maybe he has a boyfriend now, and he's worried about what might happen if the truth comes out. For years, I was submissive. Ryan turned me into someone who always put her head down. But when Ryan died, I cried with relief. I felt free. Yet here's Seth in my house, telling me what to do, as if I were still Ryan's puppet. Seth knew what kind of abuse I suffered, but he still slept with my husband. He's the man Ryan made me cook for, the man my husband slept with while treating me like nothing more than a maid. And now, this same man was in my home, telling me Ryan was a good person and that I should keep quiet. I couldn't take it. I wanted to slap him, but I was so angry that I punched him instead. In that moment, it felt like I was hitting Ryan too. I don't regret it, it felt good. I yelled at him to leave, and I told him if he didn't, I'd expose everything. He left and has been quiet since. Originally, my plan was to stay silent and move on. But that's a whole different thing from having someone like Seth come in and tell me what to do. My reaction might not have been perfect, but I'm tired of being told to shut up. I never got to stand up to Ryan, but that day, it felt like I finally did. I haven't told anyone yet, and I don't plan to. But if Seth tries anything, I won't hesitate to make a TikTok or post on Facebook and tell the whole truth. As for the house, with the current economic crisis, I doubt anyone can afford to buy it at full price. For now, my focus is on finding a better job in the future. Renting out this house could be a great way to make some money. Eventually, I'd like to buy a small piece of land, even if it's far away. I want something that's mine and my children's. My kids don't miss Ryan much, and I understand why. It took me a while to get them into child therapy, but they've started their sessions, and they're doing well. I'm seeing a psychologist too. One of the best decisions I've made is cutting back on contact with Ryan's family, and even my own. I've started making excuses, like saying I'm busy with work or we're not home. I still have to let Ryan's mom visit from time to time, but even my kids seem happier now that my mood has improved. I doubt many people are still interested in this, but thank you for the messages I received. Although, a lot of people don't seem to understand that cultures and laws are different here, and buying a house or moving to the other side of the country in a month is impossible for most of us.